Hi, it's Bumble. Welcome back to my channel. I know my little avatar isn't moving. I don't really do this much movie reviews on a different computer, but this one was already on and I was just going to be using a computer just to record this video, and I didn't feel like turning on my own computer with that. So you got my mouse avatar as a flat image for this one. Um, so this movie it came out this year, 2026, and I was actually really surprised it ended up on streaming so quickly. I always find that a little suspicious cuz I mean sometimes that does happen with like popular movies and stuff where it's like you get lucky and it'll be on there like pretty fast. And but sometimes for movies it's a sign like that they didn't really do well. I don't know how good this movie did. I remember like it came out, I heard some things about it. I don't really remember if like the general consensus was like if it was good or bad or not. I think one of the only things I actually remembered was the post credit scene where it showed Shira. I don't remember in terms of like the chatter about this movie anything else. Um, so like yeah, I like pretty much got to go into this blind because of that. Other than that scene, which is pretty nice. I mean, I'm someone. I will just say before I start talking about this, I don't really know anything about like He-Man as a franchise, so I guess I just watched this as a movie, really. But yeah, I saw it was on Prime and it was like free on there, so that was pretty nice. I thought, okay, I was like, not like I like really wanted to see this movie, but I was like kind of curious about it. I do find it kind of interesting. We're getting all of these like movies about these like live action movies about toys, where it's like this one plays out as like a pretty standard like adventure movie, and then compared to like the Barbie movie, which is about Barbie having an existential crisis. Very different movies, but it is interesting in that sense where like Barbie is a movie. I mean, it's more than just her like discovering what it means to be human, but it's about like the characters are the dolls and stuff. Um they're not like humans in their own world, and then with this movie it's like um it's like nothing to do with like toys or anything. So I just find that funny. These two ended up being like completely different movies. Um okay, so I'll give some like general thoughts, and then I do kind of have some notes about like specific things. My favorite thing about this movie was actually the soundtrack. Every song was like a 10 out of 10, even the ones I didn't know. A lot of the music there's like a like it's a movie from 2026, but there's like definitely an 80s vibe to it, and like and I feel like that's got to be on purpose and everything with like the soundtrack, especially the soundtrack. Um and the costumes of the characters and stuff, not in the same sense of like 80s fantasy film, because I think there is also another He-Man movie, Masters of the Universe, that's like actually from the 80s. I don't think I'm gonna probably watch it. But I do like they have that kind of consistency in this one. But this movie soundtrack, it's a lot of like synth rock, which was just really cool. It like kept as like the instrumental music, it kept getting me really hyped. There's this one part where they have the Queen song, Princes of the Universe. I completely forgot that I've heard that song before. I only know the song because of like movies, not that I've like listened to it outside of a movie. I'd watched the movie Highlander. My family had it on VHS. And that was pretty good. I know I did a review video of it. I just don't remember where it is in terms of scheduled, or if it's already public on the channel or not. I watched it like so long ago though. And that's the movie the song is written for. but it's a really good song because there's like a bunch of Queen music. I'm pretty sure they did a lot of the songs for the there's like an 80s Flash Gordon movie. I watched that with my friends like a couple months ago. But yeah, hearing Princess of the Universe, even though it's a movie that's for Highlander, or a song for that specific movie, it listening to it again kind of made me think of Flash Gordon. But anyway, it is a good fit for this movie. Like, not like I'm saying, not every song is like a synth rock song, but and even the ones that aren't, I think just fit the scenes really well. I actually do need to here, let me look up the soundtrack. There's one specific song that was just really funny to me when it played, but I want to leave that as a surprise for my notes later. Masters of I'm looking up the soundtrack on Spotify because I feel like there's another song I need to mention. Let me see. Oh wow, that's really short. Okay. Oh, I forgot there was a song from The Cure. Okay, yeah, Boys Don't Cry. Yeah, yeah. You hear an instrumental of that. I think towards like the beginning of the movie. Um, and I recognized this song immediately, but without the lyrics, I couldn't remember what the name of it was, and it was just driving me nuts the whole scene where that song plays. Um, but yeah, soundtrack was great. It was my favorite thing. Um, I thought all of the fight scenes looked really cool. Especially like the ones actually where um Adam isn't involved. Though I think my favorite scene with him in terms of fighting wasn't even like the final fight with Skeletor at the end. It's this one um where he's like trying to rescue his dad and he has to fight all of like Skeletor's minions or whatever and like beats them up really fast. I think that one was like so cool, honestly. Like the fight with Skeletor actually was fine too. It was just interesting because like they end up chatting for a while and it stops being a fight for a little bit, which was actually a scene I really liked. I want to mostly actually I'm a little mixed on it. I'll talk about that when I get to it though. Speaking of Skeletor, I feel conflicted. I mean, again, I don't know anything about like the He-Man characters and stuff, so I can't say like how accurate any of them are. For the source material, I liked Skeletor as a character. I liked that he actually looked kind of scary. I think it was a cool idea. He like actually looks like a skull. I mean, yeah, that's probably why he's called Skeletor. Um, but I think what made him look like a little extra scary is like the tiny red pupils, because like you see that in a lot of like animated stuff, that kind of thing, and I'm thinking like how do you get away with something like that in live action without it looking weird? But it looks fine, it looks normal. I like notice when Skeletor would like look at something and it's like just the pupils that move. I just thought it looked really interesting because like he's a skull, he has empty eye sockets, he literally doesn't have eyes except for these teeny little red dots just there. It's like there isn't much to go off of, but he still ends up looking like very expressive and stuff. And I do like that the pupils, the little, or I don't know if I call them pupils if they're just little red dots. Um, they glow and they kind of glow when he gets like a little bit more when he gets more upset. I just thought like visually he looked really cool. He also uh he has one of those just like very kind of like villain evil sounding voices. The thing that's really weird to me though, like I enjoyed the character and his performance, but I can't get over the fact that he's played by Jared Leto, um who I'm assuming is also doing the voice. I wasn't sure at first. I just thought like, oh, he's probably just like playing the character, but I'm assuming he's got to be doing the voice too. I actually haven't googled that, so I'm not sure. Um, but yeah, I was just really impressed, and I'm surprised. I mean, okay, I haven't seen like every single movie that Jared Leto has been in, but I've seen a lot of recent ones. Um, I don't usually like to bash actors or anything, but I haven't liked a lot of his recent performances. I mean, there's like a reason Morbius is a meme. And then I watched Tron Ares, and he's the main character, and I didn't like him in that. I've heard this joke where it's like every time he gets involved with the franchise, like a new installment of a franchise, the franchise immediately dies. I do think that's true. So the fact that he's like playing one of the like lead roles in this movie, he's the villain, and he actually does completely fine. I think he did good. I like can't get over that. I mean, maybe it helped that like I couldn't see him, as like Jared Leto. It's not like I can see his face or that's like his voice. So maybe that also distracted me. Like I genuinely wouldn't have known it was him if I like didn't know that from because I forgot about it actually when I was watching the movie. Because the thing with Amazon Prime, I always wonder why other streaming services don't have this. Like sometimes when you pause, it'll have like little pictures and stuff on the bottom of the screen where it tells you what actors and their characters are like specifically in that scene. I kind of wish, yeah, more services did that. Um, so yeah, that reminded me when sometimes I'd have to pause the movie. I didn't get to watch it in one sitting actually. I got to watch like most of it, and then my parents showed up and they were being kind of noisy, so I had to wait a couple hours to finish the movie. But I was like almost at the end. I just needed like the final fight and everything with that. Like basically like the climax of the movie. Um so that turned out fine. But yeah, I can't believe I'm saying this, but I really liked Jared Leto's performance as Skeletor in this movie. What was kind of hard for me though is like they make him as like he's this evil guy. Well, yeah, he's the villain and stuff. But then there's a couple of times in the movie where he just comes off as like comedic. Even when he's like with his own minions and stuff, it's like the way he talks to them. Or there's this one part later on that I think I'd heard about, and I thought it was like a funny edit someone made of the movie or whatever, and I didn't realize it was like actually from the movie where I'll talk more about it later, where Skeletor has all these like costume changes and these like completely normal outfits, and it just looks out of context, like actually no, even in context it like looks completely ridiculous. So it's the comedic moments felt weird. They were like a little funny. But at the same time they do like make him a threat and stuff, like in his final fight, and there's parts where it's like he'll like um injure or threaten one of his minions, or like just kill somebody for the heck of it or whatever. Um so that was like kind of interesting. And I do like that during the final fight actually Adam's trying to like get Skeletor to open up about himself and being like, "Yeah, I don't care who you are. You can like stop doing all of this." And it turns into like a sort of not completely like a speak therapy talk kind of thing, but it's like kind of getting there. And Skeletor just straight up tells him like, "Oh, there's no good inside of me. Nothing you can say can change me. I'm the villain." And he's like proud of it. And then they just go back to fighting. I actually really liked that. I mean, I don't think like every villain needs to be evil, but I've noticed there's like a trend in a lot of stuff where um it's villains that could be, and I mean, I know this is also things that have existed forever, of like villains that can be like easily redeemed or having like a tragic backstory or whatever. But you know what? Sometimes I just want a villain that's like evil just because they're evil. I don't even need like a reason why. Sometimes that's just like genuinely really fun to watch, and it's something I kind of missed. So you know what? I'm happy that Skeletor's like proud of being a villain and just wants to like fight and stuff. Okay, so yeah, I needed to just address that. I felt with the plot, because it's like the music, in terms of the movie, it's like the music was really good. I liked the fights. There was some times in the movie where it was like kind of funny. Um, it's just with the and the characters, it's like I feel like I can't really comment on some of like the side characters and stuff because again, I don't know what they're usually supposed to be like. I liked Adam as a main character a lot, and I thought Skeletor was kind of cool. I think my thing with this movie is the story feels very like basic and stuff. It felt very predictable. I mean, I don't need this to be like a complex movie or whatever. That's not what I go into this expecting. But yeah, it felt like so predictable that it made me kind of just not interested in like the movie itself. I was like fine with, like the visuals were cool, like I was entertained the whole time. But I think with the story itself, I just wasn't really interested sometimes. But then there were scenes that were like kind of nice where the characters would talk to each other about stuff, so it's like I'm kind of mixed. Um I like that it starts with this whole intro scene of like Adam being sent to Earth and all of this like really bad stuff happening in his childhood and like Skeletor taking over and everything. And then you find out when he's done, because he's like obviously narrating to someone, you think, oh yeah, this is just the exposition he has to give. And it turns out he's just like family info dumping on a first date with this girl, and this is how you find out like the reveal that he's on Earth. I thought that was just kind of like a funny way to give like his backstory and stuff. You only see him a few times, but I liked his roommate character too. I don't remember what the roommate's name is. He's only in maybe like four scenes in the movie. I like that in the first couple scenes that he's in, he's watching a rom com and he's like crying. I actually was. It did look kind of familiar. I wasn't sure if it was like an existing movie. Probably. Um, but then he keeps turning it off, and that's like his choice. And I felt kind of bad for the roommate because Adam seems to be like a very like chill and really nice person. I don't think he would have like made fun of his roommate for like crying watching this romantic movie, especially because there's like this whole message in the movie through Adam as this like He-Man character and stuff of you don't need to be like super macho to be a man, like they literally say it at the end of this movie, which I didn't really understand. There's this like blue faceless creature or whatever that shows up in the credits, but like before the She-Ra scene that's literally just telling you what the movie's life lessons are. I'm not even kidding about that. And the creature says like, yeah, we learned that muscles don't make the man, but like that is the lesson, which I did like that actually. Because it's like, yeah, he ends up transforming into this like super buff, strong guy, but he's also a character that spends like half the movie in this like pink shirt, and he works in HR, and he just wants to be like a nice person and like help people and save his home planet and stuff. And there's like this whole conversation between him and Skeletor about like at the end where Skeletor's calling him weak. And there's this owl lady, I forgot what her title was, who tells him it's literally a moment of like, yeah, the real power was inside of you all along, and that he didn't need the sword, but saying that Adam's strength is specifically his, rather than being just like, yeah, brute strength or whatever, it's his humanity and empathy. I thought that was like a pretty nice message actually. Or his other thing is like he doesn't actually want to fight people. He always not always, but like he's when he can like tries to like talk it out with people. He like literally tries that with Skeletor at one point. I thought that was nice. Um, it almost in a way there's like a sort of hopefulness to this movie that almost reminded me of Superman, not in the same way. The newest Superman movie, I mean, but I feel like that Superman movie itself is kind of more of a hopeful movie. I've heard people describe it as like hopecore or whatever. I feel like that's pretty accurate from what I remember about it. Uh, anyway, um, I do like that just the way like Adam being this character that grew up in this other planet that does feel like a fantasy world. I mean, because it is. They have like talking tigers and shit, and then he has to go to Earth, and because he gets sent away when he's probably like I don't know, it looked like he was 7 or something. And by the time you check in with him again on Earth and he finally finds the sword that's going to send him home, which is kind of funny because he does end up going back to the planet. I think it was called Eternia. But it's not through the sword, it's through this childhood friend character that shows up with a ship and is like, okay, let's go back home. And then the sword actually it turns out to not really be useful. It's kind of funny to me that way. But yeah, he ends up stuck on Earth until he ends up as an adult, and everyone thinks that he's crazy. Um, and he's been like desperately trying to remember about his childhood and it being real. And I just felt really bad for him. Like the roommate character just straight up tells him like, "What if you can't you just like not be weird and stop making things up and live your like normal life like everybody else?" So the fact that he's like kind of condemned to that basically, and he has all this knowledge about his home planet and his family and everything, and he can't talk to anybody about that. Yeah, that sucks. Uh, but let me wait. Hold on. But yeah, Adam as a character, I think he's neat because he's like this just awkward young adult. Like even um well, a little bit less so when he's in like the sort of He-Man role where he has like the transformation and so I don't really know exactly what to call it, but he just comes across as like this huge dork in the movie. But it's in a way where it doesn't feel cringy. It feels like genuinely funny a lot of the time and like kind of relatable. I feel like there's a fine balance to that, and that's what made him likable as a character. And I think a lot of that feels like it comes from like the actor playing He-Man, I guess. Like there was like a couple of scenes where I actually did like laugh at stuff. I mean, sometimes the humor like wasn't funny like all the time, but the part where I like actually cracked up is when Adam's trying to get the sword of power or whatever from the statue inside of this like really nerdy store, and it ends up in these positions that make it like way more sexual than it should, and he's like running around inside the store like right before that scene, and he just keeps going up to random like shoppers in there and asking them if they have his sword. Just stuff like that ended up being really funny. um or like he ends up having to fight a monster, and the monster like shows up on Earth. It's like one of Skeletor's minions, and he runs away from the monster immediately. And his the childhood friend character, she ends up having to like try to kill the monster instead. And it is kind of interesting. I mean, it's not anything new of like he's this guy. I mean, he's already like the chosen one anyway. He's literally the prince of like a another planet and stuff, but he has to kind of become the hero and sort of become the chosen one. That's like the whole point of the movie. But yeah, the stuff on Earth, I feel like it could have ended up being boring, but I was actually cool with it. Except I didn't like his boss. It's got to be like on purpose and stuff. Um, she comes across as trying to be so like cheerful even when serious. It's like so, I feel like cheerful is the wrong word. It's like you're trying to like be like happy and stuff, but it's fake. It's like all fake where it comes across as like kind of creepy, and you're she's his boss and she's trying to be too like buddy and saying stuff like awesome sauce where it just soft is like kind of cringe. um and she like tries to get serious with him of being like, oh yeah, if you keep getting distracted by trying to find the sword you're gonna get fired or whatever, and it's like a rejection of his life, and he's gonna find the sword to continue on his quest and stuff. Like I can understand why he's fired too. Like if you had a coworker that was like constant, just like obsessed with looking up weapons during like work time, that would be like a little bit concerning. Um, but yeah, I didn't like the boss character. She creeped me out. Uh, okay. The song thing I wanted to mention actually, when the monster, I don't remember what the monster's name was, shows up on Earth, it's like the first kind of big fight of the movie, even though he doesn't really fight. They have the song "What's Up," the Four Non Blondes song. And that was just so funny to me. I had to pause and I was like, no way. Because, like I said, I don't really like the only things I sort of know about He-Man. It's two things. I know there's a show on Netflix about She-Ra. I only know about it because like when it came out, a bunch of my friends got like super into it and were talking about it. I think they wanted me to watch it and I didn't, and I still have. If it is like actually good, let me know, cuz if they're making a sequel movie that's about She-Ra, I guess I'm going to have to like learn some stuff. Um but the other only other thing I know about this like series is there's the whole like meme and stuff with that song, to the point where like I hear that song, "What's Up," anytime like anywhere on the radio, and I think about it's like such an iconic meme, so I thought it was cool that it got to be um in the movie. But yeah, that like really threw me off. Like I feel like I'm not surprised, but in the moment of the movie, yeah, it like threw me off. But it was funny. I didn't mind it. I like that with the names of a lot of the like side characters and stuff. Like there's a character called Ram Man because he rams. The movie's explanation for it is just that Adam, and I felt a little bad for him too. Like he gets to go back to Eternia and meeting all these people and trying to like prove his identity, and he's telling them like, I was like on Earth all this time and I was trying so hard to remember you guys and all these drawings I did. And then you find out like not only um does he not remember anybody's like actual names, but he came up with all of these like kind of really goofy nicknames for them. I don't think we learned the names of all of these like characters, their actual names. And like even Skeletor's minions end up having these nicknames too. Um I noticed the subtitles, because I had the subtitles on, would change to these nicknames. So that was just like a kind of a funny reasoning thing, but I do feel bad for Adam of like, he's clinging to these memories of these people and then can't remember their names, and has to go off the names he came up with when he was like 10. Um in terms of like some of the other characters though, let's see. Tila, she's the childhood wait, is it Tila? I wasn't sure if I wrote it right. Um Hold on, let me see. Yeah, okay, it is Tila. I thought in one of my notes that my phone like changed the name, so I just because sometimes that happens where it's like the autocorrect and it changes it to something else, and I'm like, what? Okay, yeah, it is Tila. Um, she was the character out of like the four like main characters I was kind of like the least interested in. She is this like childhood friend character that's like originally like stronger than Adam, but then once he becomes more of like the hero main character, she kind of doesn't really get to do like cool fight stuff as much. Like he's kind of just ends up surpassing her. I do like with her character, what I kind of found more interest. I feel a little bad saying this, but like her relationships with other characters was kind of more interesting to me than her. I think just because she felt like a character type that you see in a lot of these kinds of movies of where she like knows all this stuff about um Eternia and like trying to fill Adam in on all these things he missed, and kind of just more of like a support. She has a dad. His name's Duncan. He was, I think, probably like my favorite character actually. Where he starts off the movie as this like man of, what was it called? His title, like Man of Arms or something. He's like the like part of the royal guard, and then once everything goes to shit like 15 years later, he's like this drunk older guy. And Tila is like disappointed with her dad and stuff. But their relationship ends up improving throughout the movie. Like they get scenes where they talk about stuff, and he's trying to kind of go back to his old self and gain her respect. And I like that towards the end he ends up telling her of like, you're the man that I always wanted to be, kind of like a, you inspire me. Like I immediately understood what the message was, and she's just like, oh, thanks, whatever. And it's like, you're missing the point of the compliment here, girly. But yeah, I liked her and her dad. And I like that Adam, he like has feelings for Tila. He tries to like kiss her at one point, and she isn't into that. And I like that they just remain as friends. Like even within that scene, he's like trying to kiss her, and she's talking, and it makes it sound like, oh, maybe they're interested in each other or whatever. And it did seem like that a little bit, like towards the beginning of the movie and stuff. But then she says something of like, oh, I've always loved our friendship. Something along those lines of, she like friend zones him. And you can tell like he's still interested in her and stuff. Like you find out at the end his like title for her was like warrior goddess or whatever. But I like that he doesn't like question her about it. He like just respects it, and he doesn't even really like comment on it either. Like he's like a bit hurt by it. But they just remain as friends, because I feel like sometimes with movies where it's like, one person wants to remain friends, but then they end up falling in love anyway, and it feels like, just as a way to get them together. So it's kind of nice they just end up as friends. I mean, they were friends anyway. They're like childhood friends, but I'm glad it doesn't like become romantic. Oh yeah. I was talking about Duncan. He's played by Idris Elba. I don't think there's been like, I haven't seen like every single like Idris Elba role and stuff, but in terms of movies I've seen him in, I've always liked his characters, or at least like his performances and stuff. I've never been disappointed. I thought his character here was like pretty funny a lot of the time. Something else that was funny to me with this too is like there's points where characters are like very obviously trying to curse, and I don't know what this is rated. I'm assuming like, if I had to guess, like PG-13 or something. Where it's the thing where it gets cut off, or someone else says a word that replaces a curse word. Like someone's about to curse in this point when they're like flying around in this ship, and the ship says a similar sounding word to whatever the curse word was going to be instead. So it was just kind of funny to me that that happened a lot throughout the movie. And then there's a robot character. You know, I think I actually remembered as I was watching the movie that Kristen Wiig was supposed to be in this movie, and I thought, and this was like when the movie came out, and I was wondering like at the time, oh, I wonder what character she plays, and I completely forgot about her when I watched the movie. And then there's this robot. I feel like a lot of the time I do recognize her voice, just because I've like seen her in so many things and SNL and stuff. Um, and then I kind of forgot about it, and I thought, oh, the robot's voice sounds like a little familiar. And then, you know, the Amazon pause thing, and it said it was her. It was just kind of interesting because I'm so used to her in a lot of like very like high energy comedic roles, and then here she's playing a robot um, that's basically like a less funny Marvin the Paranoid Android. Um, it's like Marvin the Paranoid Android, but without like the depression, basically. But yeah, I do like that her character's played like completely straight. I feel like sometimes when it's like a person that's like a comedian or an actor that usually does like comedy or something, and they'll like voice a character, and it's either like a comic relief character, or that character, because of who's voicing them, ends up or playing them, ends up being more funny just because it's like that person. And even though I do find Kristen Wiig really funny, and I like her as an actress, I like that they didn't do that with this robot character. Where it's interesting, the character, I think her name was Roboto, um, starts out as this like cleaning robot that's been reprogrammed, and she used to be like a battle robot, and I was gonna say He-Man. Adam keeps asking throughout the movie of like, hey, can you fix this robot? I think he's telling like Duncan or Tila or something, and you know, she can fight again, and they don't do it until like the very end, and that's the point when the robot finally kind of gains some warmth in a sense, and then almost dies immediately. But yeah, that the robot character didn't really have like a ton of screen time, but I liked her too. There's like two times in the movie when Adam has the like He-Man oh yeah, the other thing is he doesn't go by He-Man in this movie. It's only at the very end where he's like, oh, I came up with a nickname for myself too, and it's He-Man. So, you know, he goes by Adam throughout the whole movie. I feel like it's just easier for me to refer to his transformation as like He-Man, because that's, you know, what I always think of like as the character. But any of the transformation sequences, there's only like two though. Those were cool. Actually, the visuals in this were pretty good. Especially, it's only like I think like two times in the movie they have to go through the wormhole or whatever to go from Earth and then to um Eternia. Um, and the wormhole looked cool. There's like one part when they're on that planet and there's like a chase scene. They're flying around in their ship, and there's this like autumn forest area. It looked really pretty. But yeah, visually this movie looked like really good. That was nice. Um, and I like that they're only on Earth a little bit, and then the rest of the movie, except for like one part towards the end, is spent on Eternia. That was pretty nice, not just because it's like a cool location, but I feel like sometimes with these movies where it's like a well-known character and they end up on Earth for whatever reason, and eventually they get to go back to the place they're from, um, a lot of the movie would be spent on Earth. I was thinking about like the Barbie movie, I think, because I was talking about that earlier. But I mean that movie, that one's supposed to be like a journey to another world and stuff, so I guess that doesn't completely count. But there's like so many movies where it's like a well-known character. I feel like it happens a lot with like cartoon characters actually. It ends up on Earth and they're just there the entire movie, and Earth's not. I mean, it's usually more for like fish out of water stories, but yeah, I'm glad they're only on Earth like the beginning of this movie. If anything, Earth's kind of like a punishment, in a sense. Adam lost the sword, when he got to Earth. I don't think they explain how it happens. Like, it ends up at a game store and he's lost it. I don't think they don't show a scene of like him dropping the sword on the way there or anything. Or at least I don't remember. Maybe it was like during the wormhole or whatever. But yeah, I'm glad it gets to take place on an alien planet because it was cool. Oh yeah, there's a battle cat. I just remembered the battle cat is on the poster. I like that it's called a battle cat. It's just like a green tiger. Um, the battle cat speaks, doesn't really have many voice lines, but has like a completely different voice than I expected. That I don't completely know how to describe this, but the battle cat just sounds like a regular person. I wasn't expecting that at all. I thought because it was like this big tiger creature, it really is just like a green tiger. It was gonna have like a deep voice or something, or I was worried it was gonna. I always get kind of worried when it's like a live action movie and there's like a talking CGI animal that's gonna be like a celebrity or like comic relief character or whatever. But no, the battle cat just has like I mean, I guess by like the voice sounds like a regular person. I mean, it doesn't feel like voice acting. It just feels like this is a voice I would hear of like I could hear it like crossing the street or whatever of like just some person, and I wouldn't think about it. That's kind of more of what I mean. But the battle cat really actually doesn't have anything to do in this movie. Like, it's introduced at the beginning as like a tiny cat that is like just straight up making fun of Adam, actually. And his name is Cringer, which before the reveal that Cringer was the character that was, this green like tiger cub or whatever. And especially given like the context of this scene, I thought that Cringer was gonna turn out to be the name of like a childhood bully of Adam's or something, but no, it's the green tiger. But yeah, he's like there in the beginning and then a little bit at the end, and then he gets some like cool armor and like literally like the final shot of the movie, and he gets like one fight. It's not even with Adam or any like them together. He gets like one like very short fight, and that's it. He doesn't really get to come on the journey. He's only kind of there for like when they're gonna go to fight Skeletor and his goons and stuff. So I mean, he probably has to be there and stuff. I'm sure he's probably iconic to the He-Man world or whatever, but like as a character, he had like nothing to do in this movie. Which I wouldn't have minded if he was in the movie more. Like, if he was like a talking animal character that was like annoying, I would have been like, oh, thank goodness he's like very limited in this movie. But because he's not, I'm like, yeah, he could have been given something to do. Okay. The big thing I have to talk about, I mentioned about Skeletor outfit changes, right? Okay, so there's this whole scene, I feel like I've been talking about it in bits and pieces, but I need to like just full on like describe it. During Adam's final fight with Skeletor, he puts away his sword and is like, hey, let's just like talk or whatever, and Skeletor ends up breaking his sword and is talking at him, and it's basically this thing where he's like, yeah, you're just like this weak person. Who are you without the sword? Maybe you do belong on Earth, and this planet Eternia is like everything you wish to be. It's like this whole thing to like get in his head or whatever, and make him feel bad. And it's like it's like good villain dialogue, and it's interesting where Adam is being like teleported. At first I thought it was like flashbacks or like alternate versions of scenes from earlier, but then a character sees Skeletor and is like a person on Earth. I think it's Adam's boss, and is like, who's the weird demon person. So it's like happening in real time. They're like literally teleporting to these locations. But it's interesting is like they're going to all these places you'd see Adam go on Earth, like the gym or his meeting with his boss, or this date that went really badly at the start of the movie. It's like all of these places he was a failure, and it's supposed to be a moment where he actually ends up gaining strength. He gets told by the goddess character or sorceress, whatever her role is, the owl lady, and she's like basically like, oh yeah, the power was in you all along, and he gets to transform without the sword. It's like a moment for his character and realizing like Adam's more than the He-Man role. It's cool. It's like actually a nice scene, and I wasn't expecting that. The thing that ruins it for me is Skeletor keeps having outfit changes to match whatever location they're in. um I don't know why. I mean, he has it has nothing to do with blending in, because like he literally has a skull for a face. You can't, really hide that. I mean, you can, but like he doesn't, but he's wearing like office clothes or gym clothes, but he's still Skeletor, so like it looks really goofy. And I mean, the movie does play it a bit for like comedic effect, and Skeletor, I'm assuming this is like his only time on Earth. Like he gets to the office, and it was like actually a little funny where he's like talking down to Adam, and then goes like, wait, where even are we? And Adam's like, yeah, we're in human resources, and Skeletor doesn't know what that is. That part was a little funny. There's just something about seeing him in like, this is otherwise like kind of like an important character moment scene in the movie, and then Skeletor is at the gym wearing a sleeveless hoodie and shorts and is like lifting weights, and I'd seen a picture of that when the movie came out. It was like on Twitter or something, and I thought it was like an edit or whatever, or like a meme thing that someone made, but no, it's in the real movie, and it just takes away some of the like emotional impact of the and like I said, it is like played for comedy a little bit of like of him wearing these like weird clothes. Like it's meant to be funny, but it kind of takes away rather than like adds to the scene. Also, I did notice it with like his regular costume and stuff, that like Skeletor, he's blue and he's like really buff for some reason. But then it was like very it is sorry, this sounds so dumb. I was gonna say his body's very distracting when he's wearing these outfits or whatever, especially the one with the sleeveless hoodie, where I was noticing like, damn, he's like really buff. I think it just throws me off because I mean, I don't know what Skeletor is supposed to be of like, he's not really like a skeleton. He's like a blue buff guy with a skull, like an actual skull for a head. I mean, it's like a cool design and everything, but it's at least confusing to me because I don't know about He-Man. But yeah, that was like distracting of him in the stupid outfits. But yeah, it is funny to me though that throughout their fight, Skeletor keeps calling Adam names and is calling him like a buff buffoon or an oaf or whatever. But then Skeletor or like muscle brained or whatever, and it's like Skeletor's like almost like just as buff, so it's like what? Actually, he does make comments in that scene, or he keeps making comments specifically about like Adam's muscles. I'm not kidding. There's a line he says of like the big long sword dangling between your thighs. It's like, what are you trying to say there, bro? But yeah, that was like a weird scene in that it did have like an emotional impact, but Skeletor himself was like so distracting within those scenes that it just kind of ruined it a bit. I needed to talk about that. There's a part when like right after the conversation, Adam does the He-Man transformation. He's able to do it without the sword and whatever. And Skeletor just says, "Oh balls," but it's in the most like it is supposed to be used as one of those like, oh shit, like the villain realizes like they're screwed or they're gonna like die or whatever. But the way the fact that he says "oh balls," I've never heard a villain say it like that, or say that, but it's like his tone too just made it like kind of funny. Um, I'm gonna be thinking about that. There's something about hearing the word balls like that my favorite balls line delivery in a movie, uh, or line the like delivery of it is there's a movie, um oh shit, I'm forgetting what the name of it is. It's a Richard Williams movie. It's like his magnum opus. It's The Thief and the Cobbler. Yeah, The Thief and the Cobbler. There's a character. I think his name's like Zigzag or something. And the movie is about these like trying to find these three magic gold balls. And he has this line, um, "I'm taking my balls and leaving," but the line delivery of it is so fucking funny. Um, Sorry, I just kind of wanted an excuse to talk about that. I, I, I never got to make a video on that movie. I'm going on a bit of a tangent here. It's a really good movie. I really love Richard Williams' work. It's like animated movies and stuff. The Raggedy Ann is it's still my favorite. When I found out about The Thief and the Cobbler and I watched it and read about its history, it was at a time when I was having like double jaw surgery, so like I literally couldn't make videos because I couldn't really talk, and I was so bummed because I like desperately wanted to talk about the movie and my like initial reactions to it and stuff, and I wasn't able to, and I was like that for like a month. So I never got to make the video on it. So and it's been like I think like 2 or 3 years since I watched it. So yeah, if you see a video on that from me, eventually, that's a possibility. Adam, he has this sword. The sword of power is cool. He uses it to fight Skeletor, but I like when Skeletor is like, oh balls, and he knows he's gonna get like beaten and stuff. Adam just touches the sword and just punches the shit out of Skeletor. That was great. I always love that actually when like a character has it's like the hero character has like a really cool weapon or something, um, and then they decide, no, we're gonna just like throw hands. I'm just gonna beat the shit out of you. It's always just funny to me. But I think what ruined it a little bit is like his final hits, his like final punches are in like very dramatic. It's not even like slow mo. It's like it's like slow mo, but also like a pause. It just was like really goofy to me. It did kind of remind me a little bit of like something that would be in like a comic book or whatever. Maybe that's what they were going for, but like within the movie, for like an otherwise mostly fighting wise, like a serious fight, I should say, it it didn't seem cool. What else? And then the ending is a little funny where Adam reveals that the nickname for himself is He-Man, and then immediately all his friends kind of make fun of him about it. And then you see that the roommate also gets to be on the planet. I don't know if he's like visiting or if he gets to live there. I do find it funny he's like so chill about it. I mean, he is sort of like the only person that initially believes Adam on Earth about his like childhood in an alien planet and stuff. So maybe that's why he's so chill. And I mean, he does say like, yeah, I'm like standing next to a talking green tiger. I mean, at that point, it's like, you have to believe. But the fact that he's just like so chill about it is just like funny to me. I mean, you don't get to see when he initially gets to go. It's just like Adam's talking to his like warrior friends or whatever, and then it cuts to the roommate and he's like, hey, thanks for letting me come here and saying that it was all real. That was still just kind of funny to me. And yeah, that's pretty much it. I mentioned about the other two scenes where they show She-Ra, but they don't show her face. And she has a sword too, and something weird's going on with the sword. I don't know. Um, but there's this like faceless like blue creature that talks about life lessons. I don't really know what that was about or who that character was. That's the thing like I'm confused about. But yeah, that's pretty much it. I think that went a bit longer than I planned. But that's okay. It was a good movie. I thought it was pretty funny. I'm glad in terms of the comedy. Um, not only was it like actually funny and got some laughs out of me, but I was so worried with this kind of movie it was gonna have like cringe comedy, not I mean the Skeletor dressing up thing was weird. I can't cut that out of my head. But I'm glad the comedy wasn't as cringe as like it could have been. Yeah, soundtrack was fantastic. I mostly liked the characters. I think just the weakest thing to me, and like the visuals were cool too, was the plot. It's like pretty generic, but you know what? For a movie that's like based on toys or something about a guy with a sword that beats a guy with a skull for a head, it's like pretty much what I expected for the most part, or at least any of the times when they were like fighting on a turn. Is it Eterna or Eternia? I keep like I was like fine with it in the movie, and then I like completely forgot as I've been like talking. Wait, no, now I have to see. I still have the Google page open. Uh, let's see. Oh, yeah, I forgot to mention, now that I'm scrolling on Wikipedia, there's a character, I completely forgot about her. Not He-Man, Skeletor has this, like, sorceress, second in command person, and her name is Evelyn. And I find that funny just because it feels like it's a pun on, like, Evelyn, but she's evil, and that's, like, a really dumb name. Um, yeah, I forgot about her. She gets to be in a lot of scenes actually. Um oh, okay. Yeah, it's called wait, no. Hold on. Yeah, Eternia. Okay. I knew it was either like Eternia or Eterna. I just couldn't remember. Um but yeah, I mean there was some scenes that like surprised me. It had a lot more of like an emotional message and stuff than I expected it to, and that was pretty nice actually. So yeah, I liked it. I don't know if I'd watch it again. I mean, I could see this being like a movie where I tell my friends that I watched it and they want to watch it and we watch it as like a group or whatever. I could see it being like one of those and that would be kind of fun. Um, but yeah, it was nice to see it actually. And now it makes me wonder of like other movies that came out this year that I heard a little bit about and then completely forgot existed. I feel like I gotta like look up a list because there's been like a bunch of movies that have come out and I've for once actually seen like a good amount of them, so that's been pretty nice. All right, I'm gonna go finish one of the Netflix shows I talked about earlier. Bye bye.